Hello and welcome to X4. We're going to be doing a Let's Play of X4, and I'm going to be jumping in as the Terrans. But before we get started, a few little disclaimers in my little preamble here. This is not a new game for me. I have about 606 hours on this game when I looked at Steam there. The I'd say the bulk majority of that has been on the Star Wars Interworlds mod. I'd be willing to bet literally that about 540 of those have been on the Interworlds mod. In fact, I bought X4. No offense to Ecosoft, they made a fantastic product, as I'm discovering now. And even when I was doing X4, I really love the base systems that X4 kind of built on, or rather, the Interworlds mod built on. But I bought it originally because I'd never really been into the X series before. I'd always kind of heard about it, and it was I always knew it was kind of a very cool, popular space thing, but I'd never really jumped into it. But when I saw the Star Wars mod, I was like, yeah, that's what I need. So about 540 of my hours were on that. Back in July, I was like, hey, I want to buy a new game. I haven't played a new game. I know I got so many on Steam, but like I wanted kind of something new. But then I thought, wait, why don't I just disable the Interworld mod and play X4 to begin with? And of course, I had no idea. Never played any of the X games before. Had no idea about the factions, the relations, nothing. Like I literally never played the base game. Never did any of the research. So I spent a good couple weeks watching every video I could about the lore and the back end and the history and all that stuff, which is why I eventually settled on like the Terrans. Not to say the Borons don't look great if I look at these stations, but the Terrans just kind of had that appeal to me. I thought they were very cool. So, this is a, I don't want to say unmodded. As you can see, it is definitely modified, but it is not. I don't have any total conversions. I'm going to be playing essentially the base game plus the DLCs and some mods that I feel add some variety and nuance to the game, or things that I thought. Once again, no offense to Ecosoft, fantastic product, but there's a few tweaks that I felt would fit better with the playthrough I wanted to have. Um, don't have any like super cheaty mods. I have a couple that are do make some things easier, but in other ways I have things that make them harder. I will go through a whole video on my mods. As you can see, there's a great many. I actually uploaded, I started recording that mod, or the mod review video first, and it ended up being like an hour long because I ended up kind of talking about each of the mods and kind of doing a little bit of a outro conversation. So rather than the first video you see of my X4 playthrough having no actual gameplay, I thought that for the sake of entertainment, that we'll start with a playthrough. So this game scales very, very interestingly. You first start in a single seater ship. I mean, obviously there's custom game starts, which I'll go into in a minute. But essentially, when you jump into the open universe, when you choose whatever you want to play, and I'll kind of go through some of those in a second here, you start with a single person vessel or something that can only support a small crew, and you build up to the point where you can have your own stations, as you see here, and ships and fleets and all these different things. And so you could technically just stay as a individual on a ship and just do smaller jobs if you wanted to, if that's what your escapism is in this universe. But for me, I really like that ability to scale. When you get started, a lot of people say don't bother with tutorials, and I would say I agree to a degree. Like I didn't use them myself. However, the developers did put some time into these tutorials, and they're quite funny, as you're about to hear in the kind of intro video when I pull up the first one here.
Tired of waiting for shuttles? Want to fly wherever you want, whenever you want? Then what you need is a pilot's license. And what's the best place to get one? That's right, Jace Winger's Flight School. I do theory, I do practice, and I'm licensed for weapons training. With my tried and tested training course, you'll be an ace pilot in no time, guaranteed. Success not guaranteed, no liability in case of explosion, blunt trauma, exsanguination, asphyxiation, or rapid decompression.
I love the disclaimer. Success guaranteed. Success is not guaranteed. So yeah, the developers put time. They've got someone to voice act it. And so there is a bit of a story that goes with it. You kind of learn a little bit about the game. It kind of sets some of the tone. So when I first started, I didn't use them. But, they're kind of a fun little thing there. They got walking interaction because, as I said, this game's in first person, so you learn a little bit of walking the stations. They got flight. They got docking, the travel mode, highways and gates, a little bit of combat. The Then you're going to go into the maps, missions, inventory and crafting, spaceships, relative movement. This is if you're like in, with a larger ship, you can kind of be captured and move with them without doing anything yourself, but you can kind of move in that sphere of influence. Object deployment, ship upgrades, weapons and turrets, trading, mining, orders, trade orders, mining orders, cameras, faction relations and license, long range scanning, object scanning, signal leaks, flight assist, it wants now in advance, adaptive steering, station building, station management, and then a combat scenario where you are basically a Terran holding back the Xenon Strike Force. So, as I said, they've spent a bit of time making these, and it does introduce different things. And as you can see, there's a great number of things in this game. You can kind of stumble along, and exactly what I did, and that's a great way to describe it. I very much stumbled along when I first got in this game because I'm still learning things. I was watching some YouTubers the other day and streamers like Captain Collins and some of the other ones that you see there, and like I said, 606 hours in, and I'm still learning things. Which is super cool. Like the randomized station button blew my mind. If you're ever designing a station, instead of having to, unless you really want to go ham and make it exactly the way you want to look, you can literally buy a small plot, just drag the modules you want into that plot, randomize the design, and even if the item sticks a little outside of the thing, because it was built by the computer, it doesn't matter. So you can actually save yourself money on your plots by doing so. Like, mind blown. So, there's a lot to this that it's easy to miss if you're kind of doing it yourself. So this gives you a very good introduction to the game. But rather than me spoiling all of that, and I'm at a point where, like I said, I am still learning little things, but I don't really need to go out of my way and take a tutorial. I'm going to jump into actually playing a game. There is the timelines, which timelines is a series of like self-contained stories that, as you can see here, begin your journey through the story of timelines. And so, with timelines, it's self-contained game scenarios experiencing an overarching story of mystery and galaxy-altering events. Timelines is recommended for new players after playing the basic tutorials. So this is kind of like what they want. I've seen some people saying like there's some flack on the timelines, but there's actually tangible benefits plus the story. I know the game X4 specifically is like this very open world sandbox. You kind of do what you want. You create your story. There's small little quests within there to kind of expand upon it, like getting your player headquarters, which you'll see in the playthrough. But this is, to me, seems pretty interesting, and I definitely want to do a playthrough of the timelines because I think that's kind of cool. Plus, there's very interesting ships you can unlock and other tangible rewards by doing these. So, not only are you getting cool stories, stuff that expands the lore, kind of gives more in depth, goes through some really interesting stuff, but you get some tangible rewards that you can use in the open universe as well. So, very cool. But I'm going to go down to here just so it doesn't start talking until I'm ready. But you have multiple different groups, I'll say. So the Foundations is what was kind of in the base game, if you had no DLCs. And we'll go through these in a moment. The Split Vendetta gives you the opportunity to play as one of the Split. I'm pretty sure. I haven't done all these because, theoretically, there is no end. If you started a campaign, you set the end once you've achieved whatever goal you have, or played long enough that you feel like I want to do something different. So, in order to do all these, it's quite a bit of a legwork. But yeah, the Split are, think kind of Klingon, honorable, warrior. I don't know how honorable they are, but that warrior culture, very militaristic. Cradle Humanity released the Terrans, and Project Genesis is that other Terran faction, the Pioneers. Tides of Avarice, there was 3 systems, or I guess one little sector cluster with the little superhighways that take you between, that got cut off during the gate shutdown and were unfortunately very devoid of any sort of resources. So they've developed their own build method called Closed Loop, which you can use as a player as well, where you scrap things in order to make your resources. And so it all comes down very similar to the Terran economy, where there's only a few different resources types you need, and that builds everything. And you mine scrap just like you'd mine other resources and everywhere else. So it's a very interesting kind of dynamic if you go that route. And then Kingdom's End brings the boron, the reemergence of it. So they suggest either emergence or Terran Cadet. And both are excellent. We'll kind of go through each of these. They do have a little video, so just so you kind of get an idea, but we're going to do the Terran Cadet.
The connection that binds us as an interstellar community is fragile, even tenuous. Nothing has proved that more than the jump gate shutdown and the resulting turmoil. As the Alliance of the Word, we strive to strengthen the bond between the peoples inhabiting our galaxy, and you too shall do your part.
So that was a Paramid speaking. Paramid are these 3-eye guys that you see there. Very deep voices. Veterans of the series will know this, the X4 series, but if not, that's kind of an information. Argon are the descendants of Nathan Argun, a Terran hero that kind of saved them during the first terraforming war that they had, which I'll get into in a little bit more. There's also plenty of other videos that go into it. And the Teladi are very economical lizard people. So you can choose to start as one of those. Each of them have a different name, and this has its own kind of go through. And then you have Queen's Herald, which is another part of that Kingdom's Ed.
With the successful connection of the Kingdom End jump gate, we are once again reunited with at least some of our lost kin. A great rift within our people can now begin to heal. But our systems, once drifting in the dark, now also connect to the Commonwealth. Diplomatic relations must be established with its peoples, old and new. For this task, your Queen calls upon you, her heralds.
And so this one you can be Boron, male or female. The Boron are very cool aquatic people. This is another one that I would highly consider playing. The only problem with this one is this one skips the story about discovering the Boron, obviously, because you are the Boron and you're helping reestablish that diplomacy. The Boron are very much diplomacy, science, non-violent. In fact, when they first went into space, they didn't even have a military, so to speak, and when they first met with conflict, they were very taken aback and not well prepared for it. And that quickly changed. They developed defenses and systems like that, but essentially they are very much the more diplomatic. You can almost think the Federation, even though the Commonwealth of Planets, which is made up of Argon and a few other nations as well, which is, like I said, the descendants, Nathan Argun, which I'll get into, these ones are even more what you think the typical Federation kind of attitude would be. So very cool.
The Vigor Syndicate, you say? Well, of course I can answer a few questions, officer. Protectors of Windfall, they call themselves, and their protection is something that upstanding business people tend to pay good credit for. Nothing in the system happens without their knowledge. Any transaction, physical or virtual, that passes through, it's safe to assume they know about it. There is no money laundering that I'm aware of at the present time, no. Large-scale financial transfers, yes, but they're for the most part limited to generous loans to the needy over an avarice. What's that? Runners? I don't think you should pay those rumors any attention, officer. Under the Syndicate's watch, there has been no smuggling of illicit substances for as long as I can remember.
So this one, you're playing as essentially kind of a rough and tumble smuggler, and then the Stranded is the other part of that in that Tides of Avarice, as I discussed.
Have I ever told you about the time we went head-to-head with an armada of pirate hunters? Oh yes, things were going all sorts of sideways. Then a second, humongous fleet showed up. In the blinding revelation from the Holy Triangularity itself, one of us had the idea to... Actually, this won't make sense unless I wind back a bit further. So bear with me. I was in something of a spot of bother when this dashing young scoundrel single-handedly overwhelmed the entire guard detail of a Ministry of Finance military station.
So, this one, you're a bit of a troublemaker and, might be up to less than legal actions. And we'll skip over the Terran Cadet, we'll do that last because that's the one we're going to jump into.
The mission statement of the Pioneer Initiative was to expand the Terran sphere of influence past Sol's gates. Refugee communities suddenly stranded when the gates were disconnected, along with disenfranchised people born on the outer rim of Sol, were brought together under the banner of expanding into the unknown. At first, it was merely a tool established by the Terran government with the express intent of keeping these disparate groups at arm's length, and to create another protective buffer between Sol and the Gate network. Ever since their inception, however, these resolute pioneers ceaselessly fought to loosen the Terran's grip over the organization in order to turn it into something truly inspiring and independent.
So, as it indicates there, they're kind of were when the Gate network shut down and they had undesirables, or what the Terrans deemed undesirables, people who weren't Terrans essentially, operating in their space. They kind of brought them all together, and even lower status Terrans who ought not to be in the pristine, very class system, think feudal era. They kind of put them all together and said, yes, here you go. Here's your organization, the Pioneers, and you are going to go and colonize for us. But in reality, it was just kind of getting them out of their back pocket. However, the Terrans do protect them and offer military support and are basically their primary protection because, of course, the Pioneers do not have nearly as much going for them in the way of military might. So there is a bit of, not as bad as it outright seems. But yes, the Terrans, as we'll get into, are, I think, highly of themselves. Then there's the split.
The Great Jump Gate shutdown plunged many lesser civilizations into chaos. As fringe families of the Ronkar Patriarchy started losing their sectors, Great Ronkar Tinkent, Patriarch of all Split, ignored his subjects' demands for relief. Instead, he chose to stay silent, arming himself against the inevitable rebellion. When the network ultimately unraveled, our people persevered. Liberated from cruel imperial taxation, we free families could finally rebuild our realms, each under the reign of our own patriarch. Now the gates have reconnected, and the oppression of old has returned. Zyarth, claiming to be Patriarch of all Split, is invading our realms to enrich himself on our economy and purge our identity. This the free patriarchs will not allow.
While Patriarch Ronkar failed his subjects, Patriarch Zyarth made a name for himself fighting the Xenon. When the jump gate shutdown disconnected the realms, Zyarth the Provident prevented the split families around him from drifting apart. After the gate realigned, Zyarth the Undying had outlived all but wrecked TKR from the Patriarchs of old. Now it is time to pick up the shards of Ronkar's empire and follow the Torex's steps as High Patriarch Zyarth shall unify all Split once again. We will welcome them all, outcast, exiles, and even the accursed, back into Split society.
So this is a very cool one where there's this, civil war going on between the free families and the patriarch, and they, you can basically pick your side through here, and even if you pick any of the other stars, you can still get involved in any of these smaller or larger conflicts that are taking place throughout the galaxy.
In the settlements of the Reach, a peculiar sort of nobility holds sway, one characterized by a rather sedentary nature. Consequently, it's not uncommon for descendants of notable families, particularly those lacking immediate inheritance prospects, to seek out adventure and renown elsewhere. Upon their return, Laden with treasures and tales from across the cosmos, they're embraced by their families once more, despite some disappointment regarding their initial departure.
And so this is one of those base ones, and so these ones all go through that way. There's, depending on your location, ship, and essentially starting relations is really the differences between these ones.
Even after everything that has struck over the last few decades, the Terran conflict, the Xenon, and the jump gates shutdown, the Argon Federation has established itself as a key power in this new jump gate network. And even its most distant colony, Black Hole Sun, is a hub of trade and community. Opportunities are aplenty for all. Every day, scores of young pilots set out from the system for the first time, on their way to find adventure among the stars.
Dear Eulolios Sandurus Rusiris 11, you never were the shiniest egg in the clutch. Your piloting abilities were overshadowed by your egg sibling, Rusiris 5. Your lack of management skills put to shame by Rusiris 9. And you didn't show as much interest in my endeavors as Rusiris 2. Your brazen display of financial incompetence was quite a disappointment. But now, as the final balance is calculated and nothing else matters anymore, I finally understand that your interests lay elsewhere.
We live in dark times. For centuries, the Paranid lived in peace. Strife between us was a relic of the past. So dependent are we on the Pontifex that when the jump gate shut down and the Pontifex could not contact us, chaos ensued. Life fell into ruin. We searched desperately for guidance, some even going as far to birth new leaders, each with their own perspective, each with their own ambitions. When the jump gates realigned, it could only end in conflict. Each Pontifex believed they were in the right, each unwilling to back down. Civil war was simply a matter of time.
The jump gate shutdown is now defined as the single most important event in the history of the network, a disaster of cataclysmic proportion that changed everything, redefining our very way of life. Despite all of the odds, however, we have come through the other side, and along the way have found more to research and explore than ever before. That is the area in which we pride ourselves, the Alliance of the Word, founded on the idea that those disconnected from the jump gate network could be saved. We strive to find out more, for the good of all of us.
And this is the same person.
Ah, yes. The Adventures of Celia Terran. My most brilliant and distinguished assistant. From a young age, I dare presume, she yearned to explore the unknown and uncover the mysteries of our universe. Indeed, it may appear as if we had a lot in common back then. We surveyed anomalies in time and space, brought about the materialization of a unique and special station, almost intentionally, and escaped from the vicious machinations of one pair of particularly unpleasant split fellows. And that was only the start of the excitement.
So there's all these different ones you can play. This one's very interesting because there's the two different, earlier in her career and then one she's established. There's a bunch of these different ones you can play through. You also can do a custom game start where you can select the name of your character. You can select from a variety of different base ones, so either Split, Paranid, Teladi, Terran, Argon, Boron. What your starting equipment is, default ship skin, preferred build method, if you have any blueprints, your starting ship, your property if you have any, the universe, what you're aware of, the universe states, faction relations, and any story states. So whether you've intervened in any of these and you want them to be at a certain point, if you're trying to do in particular style. and then research if you've got the headquarters and staff, for example, and what research you might have. So there's all those. The fastest way to jump in, though, is to do one of these playthroughs. So we'll look at the Terran Cadet one and jump in.
In the aftermath of the escalating tensions between the United Space Command and the Commonwealth, culminating in the destruction of the Taurus Aeternal, the people of the solar system welcomed the seclusion the Jumpgate shutdown brought with it. In isolation, they prospered and soon began to heal, putting the traumatic events of the past behind themselves. After an initial period of instability, the USC government was restructured, and out of the wreckage of the old, the Terran Protectorate was born. Now, having re-established contact with the Gate Network, we, the Protectorate, are the shield valiantly standing between its inhabitants and the Xenon menace. The other factions may not recognize us as Supreme Protectors just yet, but they will.
So once again, this one just is a different starting and gives you a bit of a narrative that goes along with it, but it is in particular, the most interesting faction to myself. Now, that's not to say I don't want to play the other ones. I'll eventually want to do a playthrough of the Borons, because you see these beautiful space stations, shape, language, ships that they have. It's very, very cool. Plus, they're a very cool species. I'll want to do the Paranids, because they're an interesting one. They're kind of like these very scientific, religious geniuses. And so that's kind of interesting. And they're also the split that I play as, which is, like I said, that militaristic. And even the Argon is very cool too. So we'll jump into all that. But for the first playthrough, we're going to do Terran Cadet. So I appreciate you hanging on the preamble now. We're going to jump in.
Ever since I can remember, I have dreamt of seeing Earth, humble origin of our species, up close. Since I was born on a trading vessel in the far orbit around Titan, the core of the solar system remains, according to Protectorate policy, beyond my reach. That is, until I have made a name for myself. Having recently graduated from cadet school, I aim to do just that.
So even for their own people, the Terrans have a, like I said, caste system that, depending on the circumstances of your birth or your family situation and your contributions, you will either be elevated or descend down this ladder in the caste system. So we're going to jump in and do what we can to protect the Terrans and further our goal of seeing Earth.
Tell me again why we're stuck with maintenance duty in Mars of all places.
Satellite.
Anyone's gonna attack our backyard. This one's fine. Go check that satellite over there. I'll just head over this way.
Adjustment here.
Seriously, we're already 3 months out of cadet school and they still fob us off with housekeeping jobs. We should be out there, with intervention, saving the universe.
Please refer to the intervention corps there. There we go. Now look like the Terrans.
Ukri. Empty space.
One of the slight adjustments we'll make before we reach this objective. Rename our ship. This is what we're doing with Terror. Police.
Ukri.
Wait! That one's missing! Why
is it? Mission Command says to just deploy a new one. See? They don't even care. It's as if they're keeping us away from the fight on purpose.
Trained pilots are among the most vital resources of the Terran Protectorate. Terran aces are known to decimate entire squadrons of adversaries through superior maneuvers. You, by contrast, have none of these qualities.
Gee, thanks, Nellie.
And we'll set one of these to be the secondary. Let's see. Oh. There we go. I have my right guns and my left gun. Catch up to our buddy.
Gladius.
Diagnostics are taking a tad long on this one. You go on ahead. I'll catch up with you. I guess we're supposed to show off our superior maneuvers to these useless tin cans.
Feedback forwarded.
Typical.
Yeah, this one appears to be damaged.
Damaged, huh? You'll have to get out of your ship and repair it manually.
Ukri. Satellite.
Yeah, that one's completely trashed, and it looks like it's been that way for...
13 Earth days, 22 Earth hours, 9...
Damn! Just goes to show that nobody cares about this place.
Mayday! Mayday! We have a critical engine failure in Mars Sector. Botany Club. Dead in the void. I repeat.
A distress signal! Mission Command, we have a civilian ship signaling distress from the outskirts of the sector. Apparently they're having some sort of emergency. Engine failure. Permission to investigate.
Mars doesn't do accidents, Cadet. Permission granted. Proceed with caution.
Ah, finally, some action. Let's put our minions to good use for this.
Oh, whoops, that was just a normal scan.
Now, how
This
does that long-range scan work again? Don't worry, citizens. The cavalry's here.
We get some backup. And some of the xenon here.
Oh, Xenon! Breaking formation!
Oh, there's one. There. Nice.
Seriously, what the? Since when does Xenon send out fake distress signals? Nellie, analysis.
Classification. High-tech trader. Crew. Deceased. Cargo. Classified. Reconstructing events. Processing. 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 Permission has been denied. Investigation terminated.
That's quite enough. Our specialists will take over from here. And you, cadets, will hear from me shortly. Dismissed.
Did we break some sort of protocol? I'm not seeing any reprimands in my profile. Let's find something else to do until Mission Command comes back to haunt us. I'll stick with you.
We got a wingman. Alright, so let's see. Now that we got some breathing room here. Let's see. So, we got our faction there. So we made ourselves name the Terran Protectorate. Because we are going to roleplay as members of the Terran Protectorate.
So, let's summarize. Someone or something raided that trading vessel for highly classified high-tech goods. They knew the trade route in the outer reaches of our stronghold sector and took out nearby satellites to let the distress signal run aground. And on top of that, Xenon scouts are still drawn to the wreckage days after the incident. Something's brewing.
All very peculiar. We're going to role play as the Protectorate. So therefore we have the same name. We've got our logo. So we're using Protectorate. I've added all the base game logos with the exception of like the Xenon. So that, you know, we're not having to not have those. And got our ship named appropriately. So we're gonna head in and see what station.
Unknown station.
We'll head forth there and get some missions and help build up our reputation by hunting some criminals. It's always a good start. Maybe pick a satellite up and drop one right here because this is a nice spot to keep track of. Yeah, we got our warp right up there above us. Alright, so what do I have here? Don't have any. And we have enough money to get maybe a couple of them. Why don't we land?
Requesting permission to dock.
Get a satellite or two.
Docking permission granted.
Well, it might be a waste. It is
Docking
good to have knowledge on what's around you at any one time. We'll eventually upgrade our ship as we get some money as well. And some missions. For now, the only one we're going to get.
Successfully docked.
We're pleased to welcome you aboard.
Pick up a service crew. Because that way we won't get any wear and tear. As this, one of the mods I have adds some wear and tear if you don't have at least half of your crew capacity filled with service crew.
Stop that drone!
And we'll pick up 4,000. I will pick up 5 satellites for now. And that's it. Find that drone. So we'll drop our satellite probably right here out of the way of the docking, so nobody's gonna run into it. Yeah, there we go. And we got some missions. It's nice. Now we see some mission offers here. We'll do some of those. We'll see if we can find that drone though, because every time we do one of those, it increases your rep. Not necessarily a full point value, but definitely a good way to earn some rep with fairly low effort.
Illegal
Here we
data
go.
on drone detected.
Maintenance vessel.
There we go. It was about to go in. Normally I'd like to get a little closer, but I was about to go into that little internal entrance there. So I'd take a risk of fire from further away. And they'll pop up in comms and tell me, thank you for your assistance. Give me like 500 credits and a little bit of rep.
Thanks for your help.
Oh. Yeah. Alright, so let's see what missions we got.
Oh, looks like we're still in Mission Command's good books. They just sent us a posting for a border assignment.
We'll worry about this one, which is that mission he's talking about in a minute.
I knew I could count on you.
See if we can head over there quickly. Now, these often get blown up by the station's own defending things, but if we can get there quick enough, this will be a really nice boost in cash.
Issue. Unknown object.
Oh, they killed them so quickly. We gotta get in there. Oh god.
Scan is clear. You're free to go.
These are, can be quite dangerous, as you can see there. We're gonna see if we can get up and hide in this station. Oh god, we don't want to bounce on it too much. We just want to get to a state where they can't shoot us. There we go.
All damage.
Oh god. We're in a bad spot here.
All critical.
Oh god, we're about to die. Oh, yeah. There we go. Normally the stations engage them, but for some reason, we're gonna see what happens here.
Thanks for your help.
You were captured by the criminal and were released after paying a ransom. Mark is right. So, luckily, that was taken care of. But unfortunately, we lost our ship. Oh, it gave us a new one. Is it in the... Interesting.
We have reports of an outbreak of argon flu in this sector.
Oh, this dog.
Would all visitors please report
Oh,
to
it's
the
in
medical
one...
bay
Oh,
for
right there.
inoculation.
Right there. So it gave me different loadout than I had previously. So it gave me kind of a base loadout. This is interesting. I don't know what...
Hookery.
Sir.
Under.
Captain.
We're gonna get outside and see if we can take out some of those. And we got the payment. So why we got the payment there is that we actually engaged with them and attacked. We got a little bit of money back from the insurance, portion of the worth of the vessel. For some reason, they gave us a free one. I would have been totally cool if we had to pay for a new one. But you know what? I won't fight it. It's actually the first time I've died. Normally, the station's
Satellite
attacked
Terran
daylights out of those things. So what we're going to do is we're going to head back and use some of our hard-earned cash now to upgrade our ship. But we're not going to spend too much because we're also going to buy our first miner. Now, why this is important is that the sooner you can get your economy rolling, and more importantly, automated, the faster the game kind of starts to open up. So, while it's fun to do a lot of this stuff, and if you like mining, you definitely can spend that time doing those missions yourself. I personally prefer to have my economy automated early on, just because I don't think I've ever actually mined. So I can't even say I don't like it, but I tend to focus on doing these missions, which are lucrative and are pretty fun, and add some danger. So, like, I was legitimately, like, panicking there. And fortunately, it was one of those ones where I was released after paying a fairly small fine. I imagine that's
Terran Station maintenance vessel.
God, I got lucky. I didn't realize I had a shotgun there. Jesus. We're gonna change that. Oh! Woo! Anyway, yeah, I enjoy doing those missions, which add a little bit of, fear and are fun. Holy God, we got lucky that the shotgun
Docking granted.
Did not take out anything other than the target we intended. God, why would it give me that? It's dangerous.
Successfully docked.
Okay, let's upgrade and change our loadout. Yeah, so it's given us some interesting...
We're pleased to welcome you aboard.
Equipment that is not all Terran. Which is totally cool. That's probably because the mod just gives you a random assortment of items. So, just like before, we're going to give ourselves that service crew. Normally, these ships would only have the pilot and their service crew. So, we'll leave it as that. We now have a pilot, so that this thing can be automated as well. Typically, that'd be another purchase we make, but that's totally fine. We also could just assign the pilot to be service crew, but we'll leave it for now. It gave us a few little odds and sods here. We are going to give ourselves a full countermeasure. If you wonder why the screen's moving as well, I got my track IR set up, so when I look around, that happens. I can also freeze it if I want while I'm in the menu, for those if it's disorientating, so I apologize. I will try to make sure I remember to do that just in case. Okay, so that's not bad. It gave us a few little upgrades to begin with. So for engines, we're going to go to Combat Mark IIs. And the reason is Mark IIIs tend to be well overpriced, right? Like, this is a huge 430,000 versus 96,000. And the benefit is I literally would get 600 meters extra in travel speed, but really that's not that big of a deal because, yeah, you zip around a little quicker, but really it's not that big. The boost speed is only a little over 100 more, and your acceleration is 7 more, and your top speed is 45 more. So really, it's not necessary for that extra big chunk. Maybe eventually when we have a bunch of money to throw around, but we only have 700,000, and I'd really like to have 500,000, almost 6 for my first mining ship. We're going to go to Combats, Mark IIs as well. So what this does is these affect your additional speeds here. So we've got a strafe speed of a drastic improvement there. Almost double. It is 50 meters a second more. We have a better strafe acceleration, almost doubled. We do have a slightly less yaw. So yaw is your kind of left and right turn directly on the axes. And so that one is only a 20 reduced or 19 or so. But your pitch and roll, because you think like banking maneuvers, is substantially more. So overall, and once again, the jump between here and here is marginal, but it's a huge increase. So we're going to stick to the Mark IIs. And the same goes for the shielding. Right, so for a little extra shield, this is a Talati Mark II. this one's the Terran, which goes up and has a greater recharge and a greater shield capacity. But if you go up to this one, you're getting an extra almost 1,000. However, it's also literally almost 100,000 more. So better bang for your buck. One of the mods I have also adds an internal generator, which is responsible for a good chunk of the shield. So each ship has that, so that they're even subsurface targeting. If you got rid of the shield, then you still have to compete with the internal components. Weapons, we're not going to have those ones. What I have found for my loadouts is you do have the ability to have some missiles, but almost none of the AI ships use them. And not to say that we were using that as our default, but you have a limited number of rounds when it comes to your missiles, where you can basically have unlimited ammo. And unless you're doing something specifically like you're doing a tracking launcher to, you know, cruise disrupt kind of things, because if you go with something like that and you get your ammo, you know, disruptor missiles with EMP or what have you, really it's not necessary unless they're, you know, you're targeting things that are likely to run. What we had previously was our pulse cannons. We had 3 pulse cannons, as you can see. They are definitely the ones we had before, that bluish tint. The pulse cannons have a weapon stats listed down here. You have your burst and sustained fire there. And the Positon actually has a bit of a reduction, but a higher fire rate is the major difference between those two. And acts kind of like, these ones are like that, whereas these ones are like, you know, it's literally a rapid fire weapon. But I find that the pulse is far better for my needs. However, on the other side, for the big cannon, I have used the light electromagnetic plasma cannon, which actually doesn't do as much as this plasma thrower. But what this does is, it is, as you can see, quite a bit more than that pulse there. So its sustained weapon output is almost 200, a little over 200 more, and its burst damage, so the alpha strike essentially, is once again over 200, almost 300. The other one is, these are super powerful, but they have a super long recharge time. So these actually, I was taking like Xenon Ks. I had a Falk set up with a few of these, like 2 of them, and it was like eating away. But they have a super long charge time, so you wouldn't want to have all of your weapons set up as that. So this one's really good. It's a beam weapon, so like kind of hit scan. It is devastating, but it is somewhat expensive, as you can see there. So we are getting a boon because we're actually selling some pretty expensive weapons and putting on, essentially, you know, we're taking off 3 weapons and putting on 2 that are about the same price. So our overall price for the ship is going to remain quite low, even if we went that way. But we could eke out even more by just using the pulse cannon. But this would be something I consider, that or the electromagnetic. So, and I'm thinking for our uses, we're not really going to go up against big ships in this thing, so probably save a little bit of bucks. And you actually have way more shots with this. Going in here, we already have all of the top. The police scanner is not super beneficial until we get the police license, which we should actually be able to afford now that we got this. And then consumables. We want to max out our flares. I like having a few laser towers with me now that we have some money to throw around. I don't bother with mines unless they're friend foe mines, because otherwise you run into a situation where you drop them and they're more risk at the people you're dropping them for. You don't need a resource probe. I like to keep at least 1 advanced satellite, because one of the mods I have adds these hostile detection satellites, interdiction probe, resource survey unit, but also modifies the advanced satellites. So when I drop one of these, it'll reveal all stations in the sector because it sends out little probes, and then those probes disappear, and then this actually can keep me updated on all trade offers in the system while also still having that wide range. So I can use the smaller satellites for every subsequent station, but an advanced satellite's really nice to drop in a system, get an idea of what's going on, and then you can pick it back up and reuse that probe functionality. Interdiction is super expensive. We don't want to eat it up, but these would be handy for going against larger ships. I'll grab a hostile detection because they're not terrible. So we're already getting up there. Maybe not. And maybe get rid of the mines. I almost never use mines. And we'll maybe grab a few. Some missions require you to have more than just that. There you go. And we have 3 more. Maybe, yeah, we'll grab a resource probe, a survey, and maybe a second advanced. Yeah, that's not so bad. We'll end up with a decent amount there, and rather than maxing out the crew, because I don't really need it, then we're going to save this loadout, because it's always super handy. We're just going to call this Tear, Police, Upgrade. And I already have a few loadouts from previous, this one being one of the ones, but this is what we're going to use for if we order up any other ships in the future. We'll add that to our shopping list, and we'll confirm the order. While we're waiting for that, let's go over here and purchase with our remaining money. We should have enough exactly for my light mineral miner that I like to run. So if you look at the light miner, we do. We exactly have enough. So with this, I rock all-round engines size 1 because this one's really not meant to go anywhere. Unfortunately, with the Terrans, you really can't get away with a standard speed that is faster, even if you went all-round. You need about 500 meters per second to outrun, and you can see none of these engines actually give you that. So this is not going to outrun anything anyway. So might as well go with the cheapest. The thruster, same thing. It's not a combat ship. It's just going and mining. Shields. Now, I like to keep them unmodded. You can, because of this mod, just get that small internal generator, which will give you about half your shield strength. And if you got number 2, you get the other half. This one would not be a bad idea to get, because it's only 15 credits, and it does give you a sizable amount, and it's still affordable. So I might upgrade my light miners with that for weapons. If we could afford it, you'd want to go with your Mark IIs, but you can see that already raises it up. So I use the Mark 1s. Yes, you're going to sell yourself short, but these are my light miners. My normal miners that I eventually upgrade to, as systems become more dangerous, are certainly better off. This one, I tend to not put anything here, because you can see it already increases the cost quite a bit. And then software, I give it a docking computer, because it does help accelerate its docking times. It only needs the Mark 1. You could upgrade to Mark 2. They're not that expensive, but apologies. You could upgrade to Mark 2s, however, early on especially, you want to save some money, and it only adds 7,000, so it's not terrible.
Docking permission granted.
You need your flight assist, long range, and object, so once again, it's not scanning much of those pesky minerals, so it doesn't really need the other thing. And then a targeting computer does help it acquire the target when using mining, or if it does eventually get turrets from my normal ones. And then the training computer, really what it does is as it visits stations, it updates the trade things. But I have ended up putting satellites at all stations eventually anyway. And eventually I actually code locations with advanced satellites so I get the whole thing. So that's not really necessary, especially for my light ones, and it saves me a bit. Consumables, I give them resource survey probes. It is 20,000, but that gives you the option to find the best resources so you get a better mining. And once again, that half crew plus a captain. So we'll add one of those to shopping. See, they fluctuate in price. This is what I'm saying about that dynamic economy. So you saw that was 540 while I was farting around talking about it. But it went up to 79. And with that, that means that we end up not being able to buy it until those prices fluctuate again. And that's all based on supply and demand. So you see they're 580, which is 5,000 more than I can board. And these fluctuate up and down. You'll have them from 540 all the way up to close to 600,000 and anywhere in between, which is very neat that you end up having those things. What I'll probably do, because it's only 15 bucks with that mod, with the internal generators, only gives you half the shield strength, but still, some shields are better than no shields. And we're gonna save it as the Terran. Write it just to give it that 15 credit add-on. Super, super helpful. Some of the mods I have, which I did, actually started recording a dedicated mod video, and then that video ended up being an hour because I ended up talking about each of the mods and did a post-amble instead of a preamble, if you will. So rather than the first video I got out being, very centric on the mods, I thought, why don't we jump in and play a little bit, and then I'll have a video that will be a companion video to this one. I'll upload it as well the first day, just so that you can kind of see. But I thought it would be important to actually get this video out and done up first, and then the mod video kind of be a companion video. Dig in and find out all those different mods that I use and why I use them. And my God, the area is loud. We're gonna take off here so you can actually hear me. Dwarfs are busy places.
Thank you.
There we go. So now we got a reputation of 12 with the Terran Protector, which is good. We want to build that up. Oh, that's cool. You got the Pioneers. You can tell because we use the
Okinawa.
The Alliance of the World seeks inquiring minds. Interested scientists should convene at our expedition staging grounds in Heretic's End. We intend to illuminate the mysteries of jumpgate technology. All are welcome. Science knows no boundaries of race or faction.
So, Sagaris Pioneers use the blue paint scheme.
Katana. Terran Wharf.
Terran use the white and red. Anyway, yeah, wharfs are very popular places, so they become quite loud. Let's see if we can't purchase that ship now. Yes. I'm going to add that to shopping cart before that changes, and we're going to confirm our order. While we're waiting for that to be built, we're going to pick up a mission. Mines are a quick and easy way to make some money. So you'll accept it.
Count on you.
There will be a series of mines, either around a ship or a station, point of interest, where you'll go and destroy them, make a bit of money, and earn a bit of rep. And we'll find out if that notifications thing works if you buy it from a wharf or if it's only for your own station. And that's that GNN Galaxy Network. That adds a bit of flavor text to the notifications to make it seem like there is a news network that's actually covering events, which is pretty cool. Carrier right there.
Tokyo.
Man, I can't do this. I really like the interesting shape language that they use there. Normally, I'm not a big asymmetry guy, but they did like a really good job. Ubisoft, you guys did fantastic. Alright, so you can see these mines are moving around, so we better get in there pretty quick before they actually hit somebody, because we don't want somebody to get blown up as we take a bit. Oh yeah, see, there goes one.
Unknown object.
I'm assuming yeah, you can kind of just see it there. It's not great. Let's get in here and take these out before somebody really gets hurt. There we go.
Unknown object.
Yeah, and that Baldric transport there just took one. Luckily, it just seems to phase the shield slightly, but still. We want to make sure
Katana.
people are doing okay. Is that a
Fenrir.
No, Fenrir.
Unknown object.
And we'll migrate that other gun back over to left side so that we can have it fire square. See, it fires a bit slower, but it does pack a wallop. So let's quickly do that. I'm going to pulse cannon up there. Get that on that trigger.
Fenrir.
Very cool. Anyway, got
Unknown object.
another one of our mines down here. And our final objective.
Unknown object.
Go. And our ship is good. I suppose we never really named it, did we? So, Terran, please. And they like to name theirs Terran Mineral Miner and Bolo Mineral. But I like to differentiate mine if they're the armed ones or not, and I like to also differentiate what mineral I'm mining for, so that when I have multiple of them in a system, I kind of know what's going on. So we're going to send him over there, or her, whoever's actually flying is, and get them to deploy their resource survey, and then start local auto mining. Yeah, so here's the intervention. That's what I'm saying. So this is kind of like a, you know, a unit that is, it's part of the Terrans, but it's kind of seen separately by the AI. They let it kind of go through because their sole job is to fight the Xenon. Now, normally, the guy that we had with us when we did this mission here, we might have lost him. So, this story might actually be a little... Oh, here we are. Yes, okay, so he's still alive. Good. Normally he'd be following you, but because I met my capture and fortunate release, he has stopped following me. So hopefully when I go to do this story mission here, he comes along. The reason we're not jumping into that is it pays nice. But I did do a playthrough on this the first time, and meeting up with the group here and going through the gate into Getsufune. And when I got there, there was a raging conflict, and I barely managed to escort the ship in question to safety. Like, barely made it. So, we're going to wait until we have at least a couple ships. I'll get a couple kukris when we go through, or a small fighter wing. That way we can be at least agile and not be solely dependent on this one ship.
Awaiting orders.
Okay, so then we're going to go deploy, and we're going to do our resource survey unit. It's going to pop up and find our best resources. You can see there. So I kind of deployed it. And then we're going to actually select this. And go to the behavior. Local automine. Silicon. And we'll let it be there. And then we're going to get rid of that flying weight. And so now he's going to make us money passively. Silicon is worth about 100,000 per full cargo load of the Bolo. So what it will do is it will mine, and then it will look for trade offers in this sector, looking to purchase silicon, which is used in the Computronic substrate and the silicon carbide. So those stations, providing that there are any in this sector that have that, we will pay you about 100,000 credits. Fluctuates with supply and demand, but this cargo vessel or this mining vessel will acquire credits basically passively for me, providing nothing happens to it. And so you start with one. We'll do a mission or two over here. So this one wants us to deploy 12 mines, which means we'd have to go and pick up those mines, which is not terrible. Especially if you end up getting like a baldric, you can actually have it flying around as a mine layer and send it to those missions. The mines are certainly not worth that much, as far as it won't cost you that much to do so, and it ends up being a pretty easy way to make some money. There is some leaks that you can do, but I don't find those ones as interesting, so let's head on over to that other station here.
Orbital supply base.
Basically trade station. And, see if there's any missions there that we can get in. Mission generation is random. Stations have a chance of generating X number of missions for a grand total of a sector having 7. I have a mod that increases that quite a bit, so they can be up to 25 different missions, but that's obviously based on how many stations I know and all that jazz. So. No. You can also build stations. We're not in a state where we can really do so because we don't have any modules for that. So the Terran solar plant, there's some criminal traffic, so we can accept that.
I can count on you.
What that's going to do is, before we leave, just drop a satellite. Yeah, the mission that we are going to do now is the criminals that we were killing at the wharf. We're just going to fly around and do so at this station here. There will be a certain number, generally like 6 to 8. So you just kind of hang out until you see them. Now, they do luckily spawn in greater volumes when these missions are going on. The
Solar
reason
power
for that
plant.
is you are being asked to go there because there's a criminal problem, like an infestation. And so you're going here to basically kick butt and take names. And you'll see they'll spawn quite large volumes here in a moment. Normally killing criminals, of course, is more so for reputation because it only pays, 500 to 1,500 credits. There we go. Where we go? This guy. He's somewhere. Sensors picked him up somewhere. Imagine he'd be over at this. Apparently not. Oh, yep, there he was. Sorry.
Maintenance vessel.
There's one. And you'll still earn rep doing these, and because of rapid fire, you'll actually have a chance to gain a point or 2 rep.
Docking granted. Docking aborted.
When you get close enough to stations, they'll automatically dock. I wish there was a way to disable that, but that is the way it works. So, 6 more. Really like these habitations for the Terrans, especially this train that goes around. Very cool. Got another one somewhere. So there's little tooltips that'll pop up. You got a signal lead on this.
Thank you.
A signal lead can
transporter.
actually
Maintenance
give you
vessel.
missions. Slide that for now. We might look for that after we're done. Essentially, you want to look out for generally little areas that have like sizzles. Those areas are where the signal leads are originating from. So they'll be like
Short
sparking
range
electricity.
transporter. Maintenance vessel.
Maintenance vessel. Yeah, we'll look for those sparking.
No criminal identified.
Electricity things right after.
Maintenance vessel. Short range transporter.
So you can see there's quite a volume. So we just got 62 from that. Still getting rep bonuses.
Maintenance
Which is
vessel.
handy. Guys, at the end of the day, the more rep we got, the greater the discount we get, both in terms of ships, commodities, components, all that jazz. But we also can then pick up the license, which I don't know if we have enough for it now, but we can go check that while we wait for our miner to make us some money. One of the other mods that I have here, which you'll see in the mod video, is the accelerators.
Asteroid belt.
In the Terran space actually use a different model. So this is actually made by Ecosoft, but they were just unused for whatever reason. So this mod just kind of restored that content because they look great.
Thank you.
There we go, 14. Perfect.
Terran security to Talati vessel, you are approaching Terran restricted space. Please divert your course.
This is Talati Trader Lucrative Investments to Terran Patrol. We are looking for mutual opportunities to make profits.
We are not interested. We insist that you divert your course.
But we can surely achieve mutual benefit from...
Negative. We demand that you change course immediately.
Maybe we can persuade you with valuable information about...
We order you to change your course immediately, or we will be obliged to take measures to protect the safety and security of this system.
Okay. Changing course. The unrealized profits from this unfortunate loss of opportunity are split equally between each of us.
So Talati, for those who might not know, are basically lizard Ferengi. And the Terrans are the Cardassians, if you will. They are quite rigid in their policies and practices. So there was the ship Profitable Opportunities. They are attempting to make contact with the Border Patrol, requesting the ability to enter deeper so that they may make trades. But Terran space is highly restricted based on your status within their social circles, and so that was a no-no. Luckily, as an individual pilot, we can actually see where some stations are rather than having to guess. So we'll flip around here, and this will also help our miner when he goes to trade. Or she. I'll find out the first time they hail. Here. Gotta select it.
Unknown station.
Unknown station. Yeah, new engines we got are much better. Drop them pretty quick. So this is a Computronic substrate fab. It will end up using the silicon that we found there, which is really good. So we can come over here and drop a lovely satellite to keep eye on prices and all that jazz. A little closer. Drop it right underneath this hab unit here. It's nice and protected. And what are some? Yeah. We'll get this all mapped out. We'll find where that pesky. Oh, there he is. That pesky criminal is at. So we might get a little bit more rep and further our goals.
Requesting permission to dock.
Except for the last time.
Docking permission granted.
Unfortunate. I love flying with HOTAS. It's very. Alright. Well, let's see if there's any cool missions that we can pick up while we're here, and then we'll carry on with our objective 2. There we go.
I knew I could count on you.
Where is it? I think we...
Shield generator.
I'm thinking that it's in an area that we don't know yet, which is unfortunate. What about other missions? That's a mine mission. Another Law and Order we can go over and do so. But no, I'm pretty happy. Yeah, we got a couple of these ones. So they're either in Getsafune, which is usually a jump gate over this way, which we can see right there, or they will be in... There it is, the accelerator. That's what we're looking for. So there's a jump gate to Getsafune and the accelerator to the next system over for the Terrans. Thinking we'll find that out very soon here. Now that we got our bigger gun on the left-hand side here, our port side, we might be able to do some damage, but it might still be beyond us. So I won't be cocky this time. If they're not being engaged by the station, I might hold off until I find myself a new wingman. Which, one of these fully outfitted, I think is about 2 million. It'll be some time. That will be a purchase we make in the not-too-distant future.
Accelerator. Unknown sector.
Mistake. Blast through here.
Entering Jupiter.
Yes, and they're one of our missions for the wayward turrets is for this one.
Unknown object.
The other one might actually be in Getsafune. And then the station we're looking for, I think, is this one to get the factory report. I think they're actually in Saturn, so we gotta go through that. Yeah, they're in Saturn, so we'll go through the next accelerator there. Oh, we're still way there. What I could do also is take out one of these and then hide. Not very honorable, but until I have a ship that's really capable, like, a gunboat or something like that. The Kukri is not the strongest fighter, so
Laser Tower Mark II. Laser Tower Mark II.
Yeah, see?
Shields
Deadly. Woo. So they'll shoot the station enough to attract some attention there, and then what we can do is wait for our shields to recharge. Pop
Laser
out
Tower
and
Mark
engage.
II.
So these ones we can gauge as well. So those aren't very nice. Let's see. Where are we getting shot at?
Thank you.
Jesus. Yeah, it's that
Shields hit.
one. Let's see. We might just have to engage that
Short-range
guy.
Laser Tower.
They have a decent range. Let's see if we can't get up there and engage it. Before it does too much damage to me.
Shield damage.
So we might have to get out of here. Get a bit away, waste some shields. There we go. We're into safety range now. Get our shields up and then we'll re-engage. Now normally, and I'm kind of surprised, the stations often engage these. But that's okay, it means we're definitely going to get our money. Do these two, this one and the other one, if I can find it. Might be Getsapuni. But if that's the case, we actually can make enough money to get our next trader. We might just run in here headlong. Could also drop some of mine and go pick them up afterwards if they're still there. Repair them if they get damaged. It's another tactic you can use. So we can come in here like headlong. Wait till we're in range of them. Yeah, see they're shooting. Then we can go like this. Deploy. There's ours going. The other good thing about that is that also gives them something else to shoot at. Rather than it just being me. There we go.
Laser Tower.
And then we can pick up whatever doesn't get destroyed. Buy more, and it's better than dying. Yeah, there we go. Oh. That's at 100%, so we'll go pick that up. I've never actually apparently picked this up. Collect deployments. How does one?
Thanks for your help.
Huh. I've never done this. But fret not. We'll use the Googles. How to collect, deploy laser turret. How to manually deploy That is how to deploy. That doesn't have let's just do this. How to collect laser turrets. It's getting hung up on. There we go. Pick up laser towers. Oh. Yeah, so it's exactly what I thought. So you deactivate it first.
Laser Tower Mark 1.
And then... done. Look at that. Alright, so we had 10 of them. Let's see how many are in good health. This one's also in good health. These guys. That one's also... We'll pick that one up next. Hey, look at that. Learning stuff. 600 some odd hours. Mostly the reason for that is that in the mod, the Star Wars one that I was playing, the for whatever reason, Empire, even though there was missions like that, the Empire, because I always played as the Empire, I mean, come on, Star Destroyers, you couldn't actually deploy laser turrets. They just didn't have that as an option.
Laser Tower Mark 1.
86, 100%. We'll deactivate that, and then we'll repair 86 one. See what we can get here. Save every penny we can. Look after the pennies, and the dollars will look after themselves, as my great-grandfather used to say.
Ukri.
Excuse me, ma'am. Oh, no. That is most unfortunate. I don't even have a repair tool.
Ukri.
Alright, well that's the consequence of dying, I guess. We'll have to purchase one. That is unfortunate, but that's okay. We will deal with the consequence of these things being
Laser
slightly...
Tower Mark 1.
There we go. Can't if it is damaged. Gotcha. Well, in that case, you might as well stay active. Deactivate. Oh, maybe that's why. There it is. It's active. Okay. Do I have any more? Let's come back to my unit here. No. So how many did I in fact? I only lost 4. So that was well worth it to not have to worry about the risks associated. So the Buck have placed quite a bit, which is Drake's Buccaneers. And I actually have a handy utility that I can check. So Terran faction relations, just to see if they are friendly or enemy. If they're friendly, then I won't worry about them. But if not, then we're going to want to get rid of those because otherwise, there we go. Let's see what faction relationship we have. So Buccaneer minus 15. So that is let's see, considered neutral. So same thing. We won't do anything with them. We'll leave them at that. I think I also have that minus 15 for Drake's. So we have the exact same faction relationship as they do, which is quite handy. And we're already up to 15. Okay, so let us turn around and head to Saturn for a faction representative and buy that police license.
Panther.
Wow, that's a big brag. Anyway, we'll head to the accelerator. Go to Saturn. game's very pretty. You know, for its size and scale, it's got actually good graphics. The character locomotion isn't as fluid, but of course that's not the main focus of the game. But the like ships, the planets, accelerators, jump gates, like all that's very cool.
Entering Saturn 1.
And then the place we're looking for is this guy. Could also be that guy over there. Oh, but I imagine
Unknown
it's that
station.
one. Given the shape of it. Normally it's at a trade station, and this looks very much like a trade station. The faction representative. Oh no, it's a silicon carbide. Still good to know. Maybe it's that one right up there. We'll swing by all these though. Fence platform.
Orbital Defense Station. Computronic Substrate Fab.
So it is that one. A little further away. Yeah. And you can also, this is a good opportunity to show this.
Mineral.
You can actually hail your targets and ask them where is your faction representative. So if we like see this guy, we can calm them, and they may not respond given their distance.
Baldric. Asgard.
Here's where we want anyway.
Orbital Supply Base.
Yeah. Good thing to note is it has the kind of like you can see the symbol here. It's got the kind of little bulbous parts around the icon rather than these just straight up hexagons. There we go.
Short range transporter.
Alright, now let's go land. Look at the
Ukri. Asgard.
One day, and you'll see it here. Alright, let's get inside.
Docking granted.
And because we have the dock Mark II, we'll actually not have to get nearly as finicky to get down.
Requesting permission to dock.
Successfully docked.
Alright.
We're pleased to welcome you aboard.
Watch the ship while I'm gone.
Hello there.
Hello.
Thank you.
Before we go to the faction representative, so I don't forget, let's go to that trader's corner and pick us up a few little upgrades here.
Here you go.
So we're going to want the repair laser. We're going to want a spacesuit scanner and a thruster Mark II. That's up to the individual. Hand laser allows you to do like cracking open block boxes and things like that. Not a bad thing to have. The spacesuit thruster, what it does is normally if you exit out of your ship and do an EVA, a spacewalk, if you will, your Mark 1, which is what you start with, carries inertia. It doesn't have auto dampening like your ship does, so when you stop your ship, it actually comes to a stop, whereas if you stop thrusting with your EVA, you'll just keep going. This kind of just changes the behavior more like that. Not really necessary, but for the small price, it's not terrible. We don't need anything else. So just pick those.
Good luck out there.
And now we'll go to the faction rep. And you can see we have enough for our mining ship. But first, let's go get our police license. Because that will allow us to scan ships and we are role playing as a police, so we should have a license. Alright, Miss Kapoor. Show me your licenses. And yeah, you can see there that we can buy it for 156.
Good luck out
this
there.
is also where you would come and buy your blueprints. So if you wanted to do any production modules, you start, because we're Terran Cadet, with an energy cell for Terran. This is also where you get your ship manufacturing and maintenance. You can see we start with a small container, but as I had the mods there, we got the medium trading station container, and then that small trading. In the companion mod, I talk about this, like companion mod video, but I did make the trading station mod. So if you don't end up watching that, but you do want this mod, if you want to be able to build Terran trading station components, that's available with my mod. Habitation. Once you buy these, you also get access to the variation of it. So the mod that I have adds a variation where instead of having a wide open hole in the center, there's actually like a pillar that allows you to build up or down from that module. You got your defense modules, your docks, which we start with a pier and a luxury dock, which is the only normal one for small and medium, and then some other base connection. And then you have all your ships and equipment. Now, none of this is necessary until you really start building stations. And when you first start, you don't need any of the ships. And the only equipment you really need is some turrets and some shield generators, because you're not going to be building ships anytime soon. You might also want to pick up drones for whatever station you're planning on building, because, of course, that will be
Good luck out there.
For those who don't know, let's go start you.
Orbital supply base.
The Terran module. So you see this right here. This is the administration center. So it's the Terran version of the administration center. This piece down here, even though it is a basically carbon copy of that piece right there with a slight variation, is the actual medium container storage, and then just the trading station. And then these are your small liquid storage. And when you put this module on your station, it's very cool, because the marker will actually turn into this trade station marker, which I tested in a previous playthrough where I played for about 15 hours just to make sure everything was working. So, we got what we came for. Now, we're going to... oh, we don't quite have enough, as you can see here. Oh, but good. He's actually going to go sell, so we'll have just enough. And so this is what I was saying about that automation there. So our Bolo monitor here is coming to that Computronic substrate factory. It's going to dock, and we're going to get 100,000 from the trade. And then that'll bring us up to 610,000, give or take. And from there, we then can buy our second miner. And the cycle continues to grow from there. So the game starts off very manual, us doing a lot of flying, picking up missions. If you're very tactical and you spend, I guess strategic would be a better word. If you're very strategic and you spend your money appropriately, you can really maximize your efforts. Oh, look at that, we're saving even 4,000 from the last one we bought. And so, as we do this, we're just going to do another silicon. Even though there's more minerals, Computronic substrate is the most expensive, followed by silicon carbide. Thus, silicon always maintains a high price that you can make from selling its goodies. So what I end up doing is I end up shoving a lot of money into silicon and make basically my first several ships silicon miners. So we'll have some in the asteroid belt. There's also in Saturn here, there's a very good thing to do. So you can use these accelerators, or superhighways essentially, to get to the other parts. There's one up here, and there's one down here. And so you can actually make auto traders grab materials from here, and then they sell them here as well as down here, because the distance at which your orders work is based on here. So local automine will only mine the local system. Well, because all of this is considered Saturn, because it's only superhighways and not an actual jump or an accelerator, you actually can essentially mine in those areas, and they'll automatically traverse and sell to the necessary stations. And Terran space continues a little bit over here as well. Now what we're going to do is we're going to send him down here, and then we're going to drop that second resource probe when we get a little further down in the asteroid belt, just to make sure that we have a good accounting of what is available. And then these 2 miners will go. So of course the first one's making me 100,000. The second one's going to make 100,000. So now we're getting 200. It is not necessarily a very static timeline, because of course the ship first has to locate minerals. What do we got here? Oh, a yak raiding party. Jeez, it's huge. That's not great. Huh. How'd they get in there? Anyway, so with the miners, they have to first go out and locate the minerals that they're going to mine. They then have to, actually do the acquisition of them, so mining and then collecting the resources, and then they have to find a station that has a trade offer for a buy. They have to fly to it, and then they have to sell their wares, and there's a time associated with all of that. So flight times are all real. As you can see, they're all being simulated here. Items are moving around, so it's not faked, which is very cool, but that does equate for time. So, one run might take your ship, because it got lucky on all facts. It ended up finding a spot next to the station it wanted to sell. It mined, and it was a quick process. It was able to pick up everything very quickly. It did not have long travel times, and it was able to get a dock right away. It can be a much faster process, but in general, you are looking, at about a half hour for a run. Sometimes longer. But, a half hour is a good thing to bank. So every half hour I'm getting 200,000, or, every 15 minutes I'm getting 100,000 if they end up being kind of just slightly out of sync. So we'll then do civilian resource survey unit. And you don't necessarily need to do that every single time. I like doing a couple of them because it allows me good representation of if there is a potential for different spots for them to mine, because of course it'll go to the spot that's the most densely packed. If after he drops it I see that it's still in the same area, then of course I won't bother with dropping any more. So now you can see that it kind of moved it a bit, and it's actually super dense in this area. So you can actually highlight this, and you can see how much of each resource is in each area. We have not explored this part of the map, so that's why it's not available to see. You can see this one, and this one, and this one. I can see all the information, and we've got enough of this one that we can see. But and then we also want to do local automine for some silicon again, and then that. And I always like to rename my ships A, because everything you come across always has a faction identifier. So for me, I'm Terran Protectorate. Then we're going to go with a identifier. They usually go mineral miner, bolo, silicon, or rather mineral, as I said before. But we're going to tack on the appendage of light. God, if I can type my keyboard sideways when I'm using the HOTAS, because I like my HOTAS to be basically right where my arm rests or my chair. I have them directly above that on my table. So in order for them to be there and be able to fit the keyboard's at a slight angle. And apparently, I am not amazing at typing when it's on an angle, because I end up resting my fingers in the wrong spot. I use that typical. I'm of the millennial generation, so I was keyboard and like computer class trained. Man, there's a lot of yakking. Let's look at our -30, which is exactly what the Terrans have for Yaki, so that's good. Yeah, hopefully they don't have some sort of raiding base in here. That would change things drastically. Now, luckily, we do have the shields on our miners, so with that, they have a bit of an adage to run away, but I don't have really anything. I have my single police kukri, which I can fly in and assist, but really don't have a way to protect them, so hopefully they can make us some decent money in a relatively quick time so that our efforts are not in vain. Because the faster they can make me money, the faster I can get some more ships pumped out. I like to start off with 2 miners per resource per station, and then start padding that. Because you can definitely get away. Like in the asteroid belt, there's normally a computronic substrate, a metallic microlattice, or silicon carbide, and even sometimes there's a second computronic substrate. So that means this area would support 3 silicon groups. So 2 silicon group in this case, like you see here, the light mineral miner bolo silicon at the top here. These 2 supply this factory. If I had another computronic substrate, I could dump another 2 of those, and if I had a third, like silicon carbide or another computronic substrate, I could have another one. And then these ones will also accept ore, so you'd build out the appropriate resource queue for those vessels. And yeah, they're both over there mining, because this is where there's decent resources there. But yeah, you don't want to oversaturate an area, because you'll have better luck if I put, like, say, 6 silicon miners in the asteroid belt, and then based on what we see here, we have at least 2 groups, so 2 and 4, so 2 per. And if there's more here, plus I know there's also some more here, so you could probably have like 12 silicon miners in that area, and so on and so forth. Or Cloud down here also has some decent resources, so same idea. But you really want to make sure what you're doing is avoiding the potential for, buy orders not being present. Now, luckily, since the Terrans not only have their police force, not only have their military, but also have their own economic fleet, and finally the intervention corps, and they're building stations because, in Getsafuni, which is a jump gate boat right here that takes you like over here, they're head-to-head with the Xenon, and in order to kind of cement their victory, they tend to like to build some defense stations in there. So they're always chewing through resources. So oftentimes, I could probably have dozens of silicon miners alone in this area. But I like to start it off by padding 2 per resource, like, type per station. And so eventually, interestingly, in the Terran sector, sunlight, where are we at? Yeah, so there's very little sunlight, obviously, as you move further away from the sun. So Venus has got, I think it's like 169. Mercury's got like 700%. Mars has got 44. Yeah, see, 189%. 44. 13, and it gets worse as you move further away. So there's actually a reason, instead of having solar panels on each station, to have a dedicated solar power plant in Venus, or even better yet, Mercury. And what I like to do is I end up plopping a lot of my stations in Venus because the moon and Earth are through Venus. So you can jump up there, and then there's the moon, and then there's the Earth, and they're like about here and here. And the moon has the shipyard where big ships are made, so large and extra large. And Mars, of course, has the wharf, as we've seen here. So if you are set up in here, you're only one jump away from the shipyard and one jump away from Mars. So if I set up my computronic substrate, my silicon carbide, and my metallic microlattice right here, then I'm only one jump away from the two biggest buyers of those materials in the Terran Protectorate. And how you get your resources, because of course this is a couple jumps, is what I end up doing is I end up building a trade station. At least this is what I did in my 15-hour playthrough, so we're probably going to do that again because I found that worked very well. So I built a trade station here that would buy only from me, and I end up having a bunch of miners that are dedicated to mine silicon or helium, hydrogen, so on and so forth for the various components. And then it had a dedicated shipping fleet that would move the items from the trading port over to my production facilities. And then I built a single power plant because, of course, 700 some odd percent sun. A single Terran solar plant normally has 8. If we go to live stream, you can see has 8 solar panel kind of sticking off the top, and so 8 of those at 700% income was quite the. It was able to supply all my factories, no problem. I like how the live stream view of the station is not yet showing the station. Come on. There you go. So you can see what it is they got, you can't see because I don't understand why it's not showing. Yeah, there you go. So this one actually has a 9th, but they have the 8 around it. And this one actually has that 9th one. So, because it is doing the 700 some odd percent, that was more than enough. So I basically made my energy cells and then shipped them into here to my production facilities. Collected all the minerals and shipped it here to my production facilities. And then, of course, the Terrans only had to buy in one jump away. So it was quite lucrative to do so. And then I'm also helping shore up their supply issues so that they can get the intervention more rapidly pumping up those ships. So that is the plan. You can see that our runs have already done a couple. Each of them have taken the cargo in, and now they're back out and getting some more. So the process, as I said, you got 2 ships starting, then we'll go to 3 very quickly, and then it's a trickling effect. So the more ships you have, the faster you can buy additional ones. And eventually, you get to the point where we're making enough money that I can actually upgrade the existing ships. Because, of course, as they've been working, this guy's already up to 1 star with a combined cruise skill. And the captain is, doing quite well. Compare that to my newest one, where you can see there's, like, a decent distance there. And this has only been up and running, like, a half hour? So, maybe a bit longer. So, it doesn't take long to really start building up those skills. But that's all I've got. I think that was a great little first foray into it. Likely going to edit this one down because it ended up being about 2 hours long. But I hope you enjoyed. I hope you look forward to seeing what we get up to. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace.